Hi everyone, welcome back to Kat's Book Corner. We talk about all things book and bookish. Today is the start of my reading vlog with Iron Flame. So you'll see probably new locations because I'm not always down here reading, but I am really excited to start. I'm also a little nervous to start because I have no idea I haven't even read like the little blurb that they have on here yet. I'm just so nervous and excited, but the only thing to do is start, which is I am so excited, but I will see you when I get into this. I'll probably check in every 5 to 10 chapters and see how I feel, and then if something completely crazy happens, I'll come and talk, but that's all I really know right now, so let's get ready to start. Sorry about the angle. I'm just reading Iron Flame, and my reading check-ins have been getting really long, so I think I'm gonna split it up into 2 parts. I'll put this at the beginning of each of the videos because I think it's easier if you just know it's 2 parts going in, because they're both gonna be long, but I think 2 parts is better than having a really long video. But if you want the long videos, please let me know. I'd be happy not to edit them down. But let's get into the actual videos. Okay. I got to chapter 5 of this, so I just want to go over my thoughts so far. Because starting, we got her with Brendan, which it's fine. I mean, of course she's mad at him, and I totally get that. I totally get why she was mad at him, because it makes complete sense. He was lying to her for years, and she doesn't really recognize him, and it's so heartbreaking, but also completely necessary and completely needed. That needed to happen. And Violet is I still love Xaden, but I can't trust him, which, same girl. I can't trust him either, even though he's completely awesome. And I loved her arguing with Taryn, because she's thinking, well, why can't I trust him? And he's well, it's logical, but she says, and what would you have done with the knowledge had he shared it? She's stop bringing logic into an emotional argument, which is so funny because it was kind of necessary. And then the people that are meeting to decide what they should do after everything are I don't think we should send Violet back because she's a liability. She can't hide her stuff from Atos. Which, to be fair, she can't, but Xaden is yeah, no, absolutely not. She is who I'm with. And it's he says, she's worth a dozen of me. He's literally saying, don't come at me, she's my girlfriend. But he can't say that because, well, she doesn't really say that they're boyfriend-girlfriend yet. Which is really funny. And then he's just so proud of her for standing up for herself, which is so fair. And I don't know, but it's so, I'm loving it so far, but it's not as good as the first one so far, which I kind of expected, but I kind of just wanted some confirmation on that. Let's see. Oh, and they're talking about wardstones and stuff, and Brendan and Violet are talking about if their dad knew about the venom, which I think he might have. I don't know if he knew to the extent that that Lilith is hiding it from him. And she's so mad at Brendan because she's we buried and burned your stuff. What's even the point anymore? You weren't there. And then I loved this quote. Because love at its root is hope. Hope for tomorrow. Hope for what could come. Hope that someone that you've entrusted your everything to will cradle it and protect it. Hope. That shit's harder to kill than the dragon. Ugh, it's just, I get why she's so angry. It's just, ugh. Oh, and she's just with Xaden, and it's nice. And then Andarna, she's a black dragon. She's a teenage black dragon, which means she has her teenage angst. which is kind of funny. But she's a teenager now because of the accelerated like speed, which is like so good. And then she's like, our mom won't kill me, Brendan. She already lost one kid and she was devastated. She won't kill me. And Brendan's like, yeah, I don't think so. But she's like, she didn't know that Atos' dad was sending me to my death. Which she didn't, because we find out like when they meet each other later, she had no idea. And she's proud, I guess, that Violet survived off the lie that they tell her. Which, it's weird, but I respect it coming from Lilith. Because she didn't really seem to care before, but she cares now, which is like, yes. And they're going to graduation, which is like crazy. After everything they went to, they're going to graduation. And here's this funny quote that Xaden says to Violet when they're talking about Dane. She's like, honestly, she says, honestly, I've considered scrapping the plan, just throwing him off the parapet. Which, fair, throw him off the parapet. Which I want to know, and I hope it's this book, where everyone is like, oh, Dane gets a redemption arc. Is it in this one? Because I can't really see that it would be in this one. And then Violet and Xaden don't know how to trust each other. It's so sad, but it's the truth. And he's like, I can't always promise you answers. I can give you answers about myself, but I can't promise you answers. Which is sad, but true, and I respect him for being honest, that forthright, I guess. And she's like, she's so mad at him. She's like, or I'll get busy unfalling for you. And he's like, good luck with that. I tried for a good 5 months. Let me know how it works out for you. Because he's like, yeah, it's not going to work, Violet. We were way too in love with each other for that to work, which it's true. Like, they still love each other even if they're arguing right now. And then they read off the death toll. Xaden's on the death toll. They're like, oh, Xaden Ryerson, he's dead. Oh no, so sad. And it's so funny because he's like, guess what? I'm not dead. I'm here. And they're like, you're not dead. He's like, well, apparently. Which, I mean, come on. And, like, Lilith is just angry that Atos was, like, lying to her, being like, my daughter is dead. She's like, what did you do? You're going to meet me in my office. Which, I mean, go, Lilith. I kind of hate you because you're not telling the truth. Like, go off. And, she, like, literally, Violet's like, she just looks like mom. Like, she looks like... Sorry, got cut off there. But, like, it's like, Lilith just looks like a mom to Violet right now. Like, the person she was always supposed to be to Violet. Which is kind of heartbreaking that this is when she shows those emotions. When she thought her daughter was dead. But then they lied to him about, like, oh, Griffins attacked us. They killed Liam, which kind of hurts still because Liam was, like, awesome. And I kind of hate it. And then Dane is like... she's like, touch me again, and I swear to the gods, I will cut off your hands and let the Quadrant sort out the next round of you for challenges. And then in her head, she's like, violence indeed, by Xaden. And I'm like, yes, she is violence, and it's kind of great. And then Xaden whispers something to Dane, and, like, he stiffens, and, like, there's no response, and Xaden's like, oh, that's curious. I wonder why. Which is like, yeah, I do wonder why. And then they give Xaden his orders that he's going to leave. And he's like, I'll see you later when we have to say goodbye. Because we'll see each other in like 2 weeks. Because dragons. But now they're second years finally. Which is interesting. Like, they finished first year and they're all alive. With Riddick and Rihanna. And it's like, great, we're all together. Which, it's kind of sad. I will say. But I'm on to chapter 5 now. So I am excited for that. But I will see you back in about 5 more chapters. Alright. Oh, do you like the new filming location? I kind of like it. Alright. Bye. Alright. We're back at this. I just got to chapter 5, as I said in the last one. So we're going to go through 5 through 10, see what I thought about those ones. I mean, a lot. Like, happened. I got so shocked at the end of 9. But... they're, like, starting at the parapet for the first years. So there's that. And they're all, like, first it's, like, the party. They're, like, talking. And they're all, like, all of the marked ones who were with Xaden and Violet at the end of the first book were like, we would have died if it wasn't for Ryderson and Sorrengail. Which is true. Like, they would have if she didn't go all lightning wielder. Which is like, ugh. Which I loved so much. And then Xaden is like, well, we don't have to get together now. The anticipation's good for us. I'm like, Xaden, not the time. She's mad at you. And it's kind of upsetting because they're sending Xaden to like the front, which is kind of awful. They're sending him to the front, which isn't good. And then this new commander comes in and he's like, fascinating. I thought the general's daughter was too weak to survive. And she's like, my presence would suggest otherwise. And she's so like upset. And they're separating Terran and Sigale for more than 3 days, which I know because I read the bonus chapter is just because Xaden wanted to see Violet, but they're still going to be really tense. So like 1 week Xaden comes to the college, and the week after Xaden would go to the front, which doesn't seem like a great idea, but all right. So they're both kind of upset about that. And then there was this one thing where she's like fuming with power at the moment. She's like, oh, and he's like, let's get you out of here before you bring the place down. And then she goes out and she just blows up. And it's like, Violet, you gotta learn to control your powers. Like, you need that. And Xaden's like not pushing his boundaries. Like, I mean, he's pushing them because he's Xaden, but he's not pushing them enough to be like, I know you'll still be with me. He's like, I'm fairly confident you'll still be with me, but like, I'm not gonna push you right now because you're still mad at me. Like, I get that. And he like tells her that she's impossible to replace. Ugh, and it's so cute. Like, those two are just so cute. And Dane is wing leader, which kind of sucks. We don't need that. But Rihanna is a squad leader. It's great. I love Rihanna being the squad leader. She needs that. Oh, and then they got like this new class, which is RSC, which means they're going to be torturing the students in order to like to figure out if they're able to keep information past Emily Langs, which is kind of scary because Violet now has information that they would kill her for, which isn't good because she needs to keep this information like so under wraps, and she's still working on his shields, which is like, this is a bad thing for Violet. And then there's this one like thing that she says to herself, like when she's missing the scribe quadrant, she's like, God, I miss this place. I miss what my life would be, simple, quiet, noble. But I don't miss the woman I was. I was the one who didn't know her strength, the one who believed everything she read with the unfailing confidence as if the simple act of writing something blank on a page was made a gospel. Which is, her growth is just amazing. Like, she grew from like this weak person who believed everything the scribes taught her to be like being like to doubt everything and like to be strong on her own. It's just, I loved her growth. It was so good. So she's practicing her shield. It's now parapet time. And then everyone's angry at Atos for some reason. They're like, we're not going to call you ringleader. I'll remind you, like, Royerson did one hell of a job out of that. Like, he earned that. And he didn't have to say that to anyone for them to know. Everyone was scared of him. They're like, except Violet. Which is so funny. Like, yeah, except Violet. And then Terran is, like, so upset. He's like, I want to fly. I want to see my mate. But he's like, I don't want Violet to get in trouble. So he's, like, just been stewing, like, so angry. And it's kind of funny. And apparently, the king's third son decides, you know what? I'm going to be part of the Riders. Even though one of his brothers got torched. So, which we learned about in the last book. So, he's just here. Which is fine. Like, Violet knows him, so she's trying to protect him, but you can't really protect someone, like, in the first year. I mean, you can, because Xaden did it to her, but, like... And then Sloane's here, and she's trying to protect her, but Sloane hates her. Because Sloane knows the truth, but I don't know if she knows the full truth, because she's a little bit surprised when Imogen is like, Sloane, stop. So, it's a little bit strange. But it's so heartbreaking because she misses her brother so much, and she thinks Violet killed him, which of course she didn't, but like, come on. But I like Sloane so far, so there's that. And Sloane's gets on their squad, which, and the prince's son Alec, I think that's what they're calling him. I don't know if it's his real name, because he gave a fake name when he was joining. Oh, and there's this orange dragon who's missing an eye, who is the new general's teacher, like his dragon. And his name is Stolas, which is great. And Taryn is like, you keep an eye on Stolas. You keep an eye on him. And then, while she's here, she's looking at all the dragons, like, lined up. And she's like, none of these are as intimidating as Taryn or, like, as menacing as Sigil. So she's just, like, cleaning lint off her jacket. She's like, you know what? Maybe Taryn would like to show up. And he's like, I don't do parlor tricks. Which, I mean, go Taryn. But, yeah, I loved that scene. That was fun. And then Stolas, like, blasts the runners away, which ends up getting a bunch of the third years. Which isn't good because, like, they kind of need them. And Taryn's like, Silver One, I need you. And he's like, I'm fine, I'm alive. Because she, like, jumped on Sloane to protect her. Because she was like, I'm not failing Liam's promise. Which is, so sad. And then Taryn says, you don't have the right to burn what is mine to Stolas. I'm like, go Taryn. And then he says, if Stolas comes near you again, he knows I will devour his human whole and let him rot within me while his heart still beats. And I'll take the eye I so graciously left him. Taryn cares so much, and I love him for it. Like, it's so, so good. And Xaden didn't show up. Xaden was supposed to show up that day, but he didn't. So, like, now, like, they're worried. And Violet's having nightmares, obviously. And she's like, I have to be able to outrun the Varen if they come, like, because that's what happened to the other riders they were with. They didn't run fast enough in order to protect themselves. And Imogen is helping her. Imogen is working with her. And I love Imogen for that. And then Violet is, like, so upset because the person who taught her all the scribe stuff besides her dad is, like, just lying to everyone, being like, oh, he sucks. And then she has to, like, think of questions to ask so that she's not, like, out in the middle. She's like, is this attack becoming more... She has to, like, ask questions to keep her, like, stance as, like, a good student. So, there's that. So. And then Xaden's, like, giving orders past it. He's like, you know what? You're gonna make sure Violet doesn't get involved in any of this. And she's like, but I want to be involved. To, like, what's his face? Boki. Which, to be fair, it's needed. Because she can't, like, stop doing something. And then Rihanna thinks there's something happening in the squad, in the healer's quadrant. Because, like, one of the people is, like, not up to, like, strength. And they're like, what is happening? Like, who is he healing that is causing to drain that much about him? So I'm so interested to see what that happens. And then Sloane wants to fight Violet. And then someone, like, you don't want to fight her. I know who taught her. And it's, like, it's kind of funny that that's happening. And then this guy comes in saying, I have a message for Violet Sorrengail, and just snaps one of the people's neck who's with her. What's her name? I forgot her name. Natalie. Like, they slapped Natalie's neck, the one with purple hair. I'm like, what happened? And I read, like, the first, like, little thing above chapter 10. It's like, people are sending people to kill the general's daughter because they're like, it's not a good thing. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, I gasped, so I'll come back with chapter 15. All right, bye. Okay, so let's go from chapter 10. So it starts with, like, her getting attacked by someone who, like, was definitely sent by Dane's dad and kills Nadine, which is kind of heartbreaking, but it's what happened. Because I kind of liked her because she got purple hair. Purple hair, cool. But and he, like, says secrets die with people who keep them, which is what Dane's dad told her, like, a couple weeks ago when she was with Xaden. So it's like, definitely, he's the one who sent him. Let's see. Oh, and then there was this quote when she's with Xaden again, and Xaden is like, oh, I definitely should have killed Atos last time. She's like, let's you can't go around killing cadets. You're an officer. I was like, watch me. Which, I mean, so fair. Because it's not really fair that they're killing people over keeping a secret that could save the world if they let people know. But they're like, no, we'll just keep it to ourselves. And then they find out what Xaden warded Violet's room for anyone besides him, her, and anyone she wants to pull through, which is nice. And like, it's so sad because like the entire mission of the school is to desensitize students to the idea of death, because dying is just so common here, and it's kind of sad. Then we find out that Xaden warded his room at the place he's at, and he did it just for him and Violet, no one else, because he just loves her so much. And it's like, Xaden, you're awesome, but you did lie to her. And then we get like little notes from Xaden to Violet, because he's writing her letters. Like, Xaden is writing Violet letters, which I kind of love. It like fits so perfectly, and it's really cute. And also, what's her name? Jensa, who's the scribe, is actually willing to let exceptions for Violet to go into the scribe quadrant, which is crazy. And then chaos happened because they're dragging out a rider who was checked out a book I don't think he was supposed to check out, but he did, so oops. And then she's finally like learning how to tell selective truths to her friends like Rihanna, Sawyer, and Riddick, but it's not exactly the best. She doesn't like lying to them. And her letter from her sister is being censored. Like, someone is like blacking out some things that her sister wants to tell her, which I don't know what, but I'm interested to figure out like what is being censored. Oh, and then this stupid general, who's this new guy, who just comes over. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. I recall hearing that you were nearly done in by a first year. Good to see the embarrassment didn't finish a job he started, but I guess you're probably used to squeaking barely by alive, seeing as how frail you're rumored to be. I'm like, screw off. She bonded to Terran. Screw off. Which, I don't know. And a couple of the other dragons have seen Andarna as now a black dragon instead of her golden feather tail, so they're trying to keep that under wraps too, which isn't good. And then she's talking to this guy, and Terran's like, remind me that I told him I'd digest him alive. And she's like, I don't think that would go well for me. And Andarna, who's supposed to be sleeping, mind you, wakes up and is like, it would be fun to watch him eat the pompous one, which I agree with, but also Andarna should be sleeping, so. Then they're learning how to do like a running landing, which is where like they jump off the dragon like as it's flying, which is crazy. And Violet's like, I can't do that. And Terran's like, yeah, we need accommodations for that. She's like, how are we going to adapt that? And he's like, I didn't say we would. The Dragon Watcher will adapt his request, or I'll have an early lunch. Terran wants to eat people, apparently, like a lot of people, which, to be fair, fine, but also, Terran, you can't go around eating people. And we find out that Katarna, is that Xaden's ex-girlfriend? Because it seems like he felt something towards her, and Boki like let it slip, so now I'm like, who is this? And Violet wants to know who it is too, but she doesn't ask Xaden next time she sees him, so. Oh, and there's so many assassination attempts that are happening to the marked ones, which is like kind of sucky, but they've managed to stop it. And then they get their bags checked because they think that Violet is smuggling things, which, to be fair, they think she is, but not in her own bag she is. And Terran is like, I want to leave. I want to see my mate, like, right now. And then she asks Terran, what do they do if we try and stop us? And Terran is like, feast. Terran wants to see his mate, and he wants to eat people. So good for him, but also stop it, Taryn. I love it, but stop it. Yeah, so there's so much attack that's happening, and Taryn is the one smuggling, not Violet, which is also kind of hilarious, but she gets to Xaden's place where he's at, and she's like recognized there as Lieutenant Sorrengail's sister, not General Sorrengail's daughter, which I thought was cute, like, because they like Mira more than they like Lilith. And then, there's so much, like, Violet's like, why am I denying myself to be with Xaden? But then she remembers he lied to me. And he's like, well, I'm not going to be with you until you want me to be with you, which, to be fair, it's really great from Xaden to do that. And he's like, I want you to tell me you love me before we get together, like, that you're okay with who I am, like, the keeping secrets, that's what I am. And she can't put that past her yet, so. And then she's like, hypothetically, if you were to kiss me, and immediately he's like, you know what, I'm gonna kiss her. And they do, so they kiss for a bit, but then, like, the entire, like, question comes out. And he wants to trust her, but she's like, you have to trust me fully, but he's like, I can't. So there's still that little fight that's happening. And he has his own private room because no one wants to share with him because he was Zen's son, which, to be fair, I don't get. I really don't get why they want to share with him, because it was his dad who did the rebellion, not him. I don't get why they're going after the children so hard. But they are. And she's like asking about the wardings to Taryn. He's like, despite what you may think, I'm not 600 years old. But it's kind of, I love their back and forth. I always love Taryn and Violet's back and forth because it fits them so cute. And then she's being punished because Andarna hasn't been showing up to practices because they can't let anyone know that she's not literally a Feathertail. The Feathertails are babies and she's like a black dragon now. So she's getting punished by forcing to shoot out that lightning, which is so heartbreaking because she wants to protect him so much and she doesn't want Andarna to come down. And Taryn is like Silver One, like he like cares so much. And he's like, this is what happens when dragons choose poorly. Stolas should have never given this barbarian more power. Which, yes, he shouldn't have. Stolas, who shouldn't have chosen like that. And she's just like calling out for Silver One. And then the marked ones, like Imogen and Bodhi, are like, they're protecting her. Like, they're like her, like, ride or die, like, friends. They're not like Rihanna or Sawyer or like Riddick. But like, they care for her like so much over like the short time that they've known her. Because she saved their lives. So it's like, they're like repaying her favor, which I love. And Taryn's like listening nonstop because of it. He's like, and when she's like coming at him, she's like, I heard that. She's like, just because you're listening. And he's like, I wouldn't have to if you didn't listen. Which, yeah. And then Imogen is like, why don't you just get back with him already? She's like, because I can't. Like, the secrets are just too much for me. And Imogen is like, but come on. Like, they all want her to get back with Xaden because apparently they were both happier when that was happening. And then she's got so much PTSD, she almost killed Riddick. Like, Riddick came up behind her and she almost, like, stabbed him, which is like, you've got a lot of trauma, Violet. Come on. And then she gets kidnapped for, like, that lesson, which is the RSC, where, like, they're with cadets, like, actual, like, infantry soldiers, riders, a healer, and they brought a scribe to this, which they shouldn't have, but they did. And then they probably won't be back in time for Sigil and Xaden, which are coming today, so it's kind of upsetting. And then they block their signets and their ability to connect to their dragons, which it's worrying because that they have this ability to do that. So I'm a little nervous about that. And then her friends are also so concerned about her, like Riddick and Sawyer and Rihanna, they're all so concerned about her because, like, when they got kidnapped and they're, like, dropped in this forest, like, for their lesson, they're like, did you wrap your knees? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I did. I just didn't do my ankles because I didn't expect to be, like, in the woods. And he's like, I've got stuff just in case you need it, which is, like, so thoughtful that, like, they care about her so much, which is so cute. And then they're like, oh, this is Violet Sorrengail. She went into battle. She's got 2 dragons, and one of them is one of the biggest. And they're like, okay, we respect you now, Violet, which is like the infantryman, which is scary. And then Jack Barlow's old dragon comes over and it is trying to, like, kill them, but then doesn't. Then they run. But, like, he's like, that dragon is still circling. I feel like it wants to kill Violet because it lost everything because of her. So I'm a little nervous, but that's those couple chapters, and I'll get back when it is chapter 20. Okay, we're back with a new place. This is actually my little sister's bedroom, so there's that. But let's go through 15 through 20. Oh, and it starts with what's her name? Rihanna being so, like, sad and, like, doesn't really know what to say to Violet because she's hiding things from her, which there's a reason Violet's hiding things from her, but, like, Rihanna's her friend. She shouldn't be hiding those things from her, but she has to for the safety of everyone. Let's see. Oh, and those drinks that they had to drink that caused them to lose connection to their dragons and their powers. Turns out that's new this year, and Taryn doesn't like it, so I wonder why they're starting to develop those things. Oh, and then Jensa says, the tricky thing to capture is the truth and not just an interpretation. Stories can change depending on who's telling them, which is very true, so. But that's Jensa. She's finally opening up to the idea that maybe intentionally the scribes are being hit, not being told everything. And she hasn't been recording any of the books Violet has wanted to take out, which has been protecting her so that no one comes after her, which is such a great thing for her friend to do, but also it's very, very dangerous for her friend to do that. So I'm kind of scared for Jensa, but I don't think I should be because she's supposed to be the one recording the Empyrean series. So I think it's okay that she's fine. So she's starting to think that the archives are incomplete by ignorance or intention. She's thinking it's more intention, I think. So she's going to give Violet books that she needs without recording it, and Violet's going to give her something, and, like, they'll do this, like, partnership, which I'm very curious about seeing where it goes. Oh, and Imogen's starting to say that Violet sounds like Xaden, which she really does because she's been protecting Sloane in such a Xaden-esque way by, like, saying, I'll give you your brother's letters if you finally start to train with Imogen, if you start living up to that. And Imogen is like, that's so much like Xaden. It's such a compliment. She's like, I get why he likes you now. And then Imogen finally realized how she was getting through the challenges last year by poisoning her opponents, which is, it's smart. And she knows why Xaden fell for her. And I think they're purposefully separating Xaden and Violet when they go on their back and forth weeks. Because one week when Violet has to go, it was when the training that kidnapped them. And this week when she's going to Xaden, he's off on another mission, which she can't go to. So it's like, they're purposefully separating them. Because them together, it's kind of a bad thing for the leadership. And Imogen is being like, well, there's always going to be another thing with Xaden. And you knew that when you fell in love with him. If you wanted normal, you'd be with Dane. So she knows that there's always going to be another foot, another battle axe, as it's put. Oh, and Rihanna's family is getting like these missives that says, don't let your kindness could kill you. Don't let people in, which is, it's kind of scary because I have a theory. I don't know if it's true yet, but if it's true, I'll tell you if it ever comes up. But I actually am really liking it so far. Oh, and then Xaden comes and they finally like have to be together because they're together. And he like drops his stuff, his swords, his pack. And it feels like he's at home. Like it's so domestic and it's actually really kind of cute. And I kind of really love that for them, that they're finally like being a little domestic. And he immediately knows that she's hiding something from him. Like she's hiding those books and he's like, you're hiding things from me. You're lying to me. She's like, truth goes both ways. And then Rihanna's there being like, oh, I didn't know Lieutenant Riverson was going to be here. And she's like, yeah, he's here. Can't really do anything about it. And she hasn't been telling him about, like, when they were using her powers to basically punish her. And, like, the assassination attempt, all of these things he hasn't been telling her, but Bodhi has told him. So it's like, he's like, what would you have done, Violet? What would you have done, Xaden? Phone back here and killed him? He's like, I've debated it. Which, Xaden, come on. Oh, and then Nolan, the healer, he says something that made me a little curious. He says, it's hard work mending a soul. Been on it for months now. I'm very curious if he means it literally or not literally, because there's something going on with Nolan, because it's been hard for them to see the healer, number one, and he's looking beyond tired that he shouldn't be. So it's something's going on with Nolan. And then Xaden meets Jensen, and they kind of get along. He's like, thank you for helping us, even though he's not very fond of Violet doing it himself. But they're like, trust goes both ways, and Xaden's not fully trusting her, and she's not fully trusting him, so it's like, it's not great. And then they parted, and it was kind of sad, because it was in anger. And then Terrence says this other thing. He's like, humans have memories of gnats. Dragons hold grudges, which is, it's true, from what we've seen. Then this guy, the vice commandant, is still mad at her for not producing Andarna. And then Terran is like, humans can't summon dragons. And like he yells it so all the dragons hear it so that no one can punish him. Or he's like, Andarna doesn't answer to you. And then, but she's like, then he's like, she does, pointing at Violet. He's like, does he? Does she? And like he goes over to Stolas and like bites his neck and is like, you're only a rider if you have a dragon. What if you don't have a dragon? And he's like, apologize. Apologize to the one who Andarna proved worthy. I'm like, that's so good. I love it. Oh, it was so good. I really loved it that he apologized. Of course, he's not extra upset, and Stolas is probably gonna want revenge too. And then they're finally, Rihanna and Violet are finally talking, and she's like, I don't really know, Rihanna's like, I don't know if all of these precautions are necessary, like the gauntlet, I don't like that parapet thrashing. She's like, I don't know if these are necessary, but Violet's like, these help us, even if they're awful things that no one wants to see go through, but if we didn't have these things, I would have frozen when Liam died. I wouldn't have been able to save everyone. If I froze when he died, I didn't. I saved everyone else by forgetting him, basically. It's so heartbreaking, but it's also so true. They're preparing them to deal with the death that happens in battle, even if it's kind of awful. And then she kind of breaks down about Liam, and she almost tells her the truth, but then he comes down. What's his name? Varnish. He comes down. He's like, empty your bag again, because you have to do that every time she leaves. And then Rihanna's finally like, don't be finally happy. Like, she's kind of telling her the truth. I'd rather you scream at me than pretend everything's all right with silence. It's such a good friend move, and I really, really love it. Like, I mean, Violet almost told her the truth, but then Varnish showed up. But she's finally getting to, like, her breaking point, where she's like, I can't do it anymore. I have to let people in, which I don't know. I'm kind of scared for what happens because she's kind of already let in Jensen, and she might let in Imogen, which means Sawyer and Riddick, and I'm just scared about everything. Alright, be back for 20 to 25. Okay, we're back with chapters 20 to 25, and I'm like really liking it so far. So the first one is from like one of like the upper things on top of the chapter. It's from the letter from Xaden to Violet, and it's about him becoming the monster he needs to be, and she's the one who kind of like helped him not be, even though he still knows he has to be it sometimes. It's just, it's so like cute. And then Taryn is trying to tell her, we can't do these movements, we need accommodations. And she's like, we can't change the graduation requirements. He's like, I've never tried that, we're gonna try that. Which, I mean, Taryn, you're hilarious, but come on. Okay. And then she's at camp where Xaden is, and he's like, tell me to kiss you even if it's just for show. And she's like, fine, kiss me. And then like they kiss, and it's and like they're faking a relationship even though they're in a relationship. They just don't really know how to find it because Xaden loves her, but she won't tell him that she loves him because of the secrets. So there's that. And she's like, is that enough of the show for you? And he's like, F the show, I just want to be with you. Which is, And then her sister's here, Myra's here. And it's great, she's like with her sister, even though she really wants to tell her about Brendan. Like, that is like so heartbreaking that she's not telling her sister, who was one of her closest friends with her brother, is still alive. I get why she can't tell her, because Mira is still loyal, as far as I know, to the cause. So it's... And apparently Xaden is super hard, and Violet, they're both hard to keep each other out of their minds. Like, very, very hard. Like, her wards could be perfect, and she could keep Dane out, which she needs to do, but it wouldn't let Xaden out, which is, it's interesting. I wonder if they'll explain why it's so hard to keep the two of them out, because I really do like that part. There's this one quote. They're gonna beat you black and blue just to see if you can take it. And the way you break, and Violet's like, I can handle pain. I live in pain. I practically built a house here and set up a whole economy. I can take whatever they dish out. Because she is strong despite her weakness. And I love that, like, even though she's still weak, she's still relying on the strength that she learned over first year, which I really, really love. There's like, it's just them here. And Myra's here because she's a shield and like they're worrying about the warding. So Violet's trying to subtly be like, you're here, what are the ward? Like, she's subtly trying to like get information out of Mira and kind of let her know that Brendan's alive, and like letting her know sort of secrets that she's not supposed to do. Which is kind of awful, but she feels terrible about these secrets. And like, she fully knows that it's kind of unhealthy, the relationship that Xaden and Violet have. But she's not going to stop Violet, obviously, but... And she's just lying to Mira about everything, and it hurts her so much that she's lying to her. There's this one quote that Xaden says when they're like in bed together later. He says, I haven't exactly made it easy for you to trust me. I'm still not making it easy, but you and I are not easy people. What we built together has to be strong enough to withstand a storm or a war. Easy isn't going to give that to us, because they're both so like complicated. They both don't trust Easy. They both have secrets. So it's just, I love that they both understand that. They're just not willing to admit it fully to each other yet. And then it's just so domestic. He's like, I mean, I'm thinking there's like a bigger thing to this. If it's not, it's totally fine. because he's teaching her, being like, do you know how to tie these fabric knots? I learned how to do all of them. And he's just like, it's culture violence. Like, you gotta remember this. Ugh. And it's just so cute, them being domestic and talking about like tying knots, like specific like fabric knots. It's so like cute, and I kind of love it. Then he says this, I know who you are, Violet, even when you keep things from me. I know you. Like, he just knows her, and it's just, I love it. Then he says, I love you, and she's like, you don't need to remind me, even though she can't say it yet. He's like, maybe you're not the one I'm reminding. Like, he's saying it because she hasn't said it yet. I feel like he needs to convince himself, even though she does, that she does, because I don't think fully believes that she does still, which is kind of heartbreaking, but she will. Let's see. Oh yeah, she's actually starting to do the knots, and she's like, it's a ridiculous thing to challenge me to. It doesn't mean I'm willing to lose. Even a sling won't stop me, because she's in a sling now. Like, she's like, I'm gonna tie these knots, because he's not gonna beat me at this ridiculous challenge he challenged me to. I kind of love it. And then they're talking about how like cultures are being like assimilated and like dying, like Tarish, like the place Satan's from, other places, like other things are lost in translation, like dead languages, like those things. And some people don't really get what that's trying to prove, like why these things are dying, like why they're being cut off. But a lot of the people from the rebellion obviously are like, these are our cultures and it's being taken from us because we're being forced to assimilate here. Of course, Violet knows it's wrong, so she kind of speaks up, not as much as like she wants to, because that would reveal everything, but she's speaking up to be like, it's not right for us to take away some of these parts of the culture, which I love how outspoken she is, even when she can't fully be. Then she's with Dane, and he's like, come on, I thought we were friends. She's like, we are no longer friends. I'll be ready to talk when the sight of you doesn't make me want to bury my knife in your chest all the way down to the effing hilt. It's just, and he's like, you can't run away from me. I'm like, Dane, shut up. And then he challenges her on one of like their challenges, like for like the sparring, which isn't good. I got like so nervous when he was like, Dane Atos against Violet Sorrengail. I was like, oh no, what's happening? Because if he touches her, even if her shields are good, it's like, and then Boki's like, Xaden is going to effing kill him, which, to be fair, he probably will when he figures it out. And then she like kind of outs him a little bit, like, you stole my memory. He's like, but there was a flash of a memory Ryderson told you he was going to Abethia with his cousin. He's like, second years don't get that. So I told my dad. So I don't think he fully knows what he did. I don't trust him again, but I don't think he fully knows what he did. Like he said goodbye because he knew that Violet was choosing Xaden. That's why he said goodbye, which I'm not sold on yet. But if those are his reasons, like he didn't know what he was setting them up for, but he still did set them up. So I don't like him and I don't trust him, but it seems like he does have reasons. So we'll see. And then we find out, I don't know if this is true, I think it is, but Lilith, Violet's mother, is the one who put all the scars on Xaden's back, the remarked ones she's responsible for. Which, if so, like, that is awful that her mother is the one who did that to a child, basically, because Xaden was a child when he got those scars. So I don't like that. And then she's talking to like Rihanna to be like, how did Liam's dragon die? And then she like says, stop. I can't tell you. Don't make me lie to you. Like, she doesn't want to lie to her, which is kind of so heartbreaking that she still wants to be friends with Rihanna, even if she can't. And then Alec, who's the prince's son, the king's son, is like, I know what we're fighting. He's like, you know, don't you? And he's like, why do you think I'm here? Like, does he really know about the venom? Is he actually trying to help Violet, or is this just another setup? But if he knows, they could have like a prince on their side, which would be good for the people when they finally like let out like about a rebellion. that's happening. Like, having a prince on their side could really help. Then she's having this nightmare about the Venom being like, we want you, we want your power, we waited centuries for someone with your power. Which, I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's kind of scary that the Venom can, like, transform people to have, like, control over their powers. It's not good. Then Xaden's here, and he's, like, finally, like, trusting her with certain things, but then Varys shows up. He's like, oh, we found her. It's time for, like, the torture experiments. And then he's, like, a little bit surprised, like, your door doesn't allow entrance, Violet. I assume it's thanks to Lieutenant Ryerson. And he looks a little impressed about that. He's like, your powers are actually pretty cool. No, he doesn't say it like that, obviously, but, like. And then she's like, you have to let me go, Xaden. You can't protect me from this any more than you couldn't protect me from thrashing. But he's like, and he's like, you know it's true. And he's like, you weren't mine at thrashing. Of course she says, like, I'm not yours now, but she is. It's like, you weren't mine before thrashing, and I really love it. It's so cute. He moved up on my book boyfriends. I think he's number 1 by this point, but. And then eventually she talks to Sigale. Like, she goes through, like, their channels to talk to Sigale. She's like, we won't get vacation next week for you to see your mate if Xaden keeps talking. So she's like, fine, and makes Xaden stop. But, like, and he's like, you went to Sigale? And she's like, I make no apologies to fix your stubbornness. For saving your butt. It's so good. And then as they're walking away with Varys for the torture trials, Xaden says, violence. Remember, it's only the body that's fragile. You are unbreakable. And he says, like, violence out loud. So, like, everyone knows, like, that's their nickname now. And it's so cute. Like, he said it out loud. He didn't say it in their, like, little bond of their head. And then they're about to, like, start their torture trials. And they're like, we're doing this for you, not to you. Yeah, they're doing it to you. Like, I feel like they fully believe that. And it's kind of awful that they're able to, like, just believe that. So that they tell each other, like, individual secrets that they have to keep. And, like, they have, like, other information that they keep. And also Violet has, like, that extra information she can't let anyone know. But she's like, I'm in love with Xaden Ryerson. And they're like, we all know that. But she's like, Xaden doesn't know. Well, Xaden knows. But she just can't admit it herself to tell him that she still does. So, thought that was cute. And then they find out that the drinks that they were given to drink is one of those, like, concoctions that cuts them off from the dragon. So they're like, let's not drink it. Let's pretend that we did. Let's pretend that we were cut off. Which is very smart by Rihanna. And then one of the lieutenants, Nora, her signet is being able to tell if they're lying, which is good for their interrogation, but, like, not good for them. And then as they're, like, torturing her with, like, all the others watching, she's like, quite the mouth for a general's daughter. She's like, where do you think I got it from? Which, very funny. I loved it. And then eventually, Varys comes in and he's like, doesn't someone normally give up personal details by now? Because they've been tortured for hours, and, like, they haven't. Like, it's very normal that they would have given up secrets by now, but they didn't. Like, that's how close they are to each other. And then he brings in Atos. Oh, he brings him in, and it's awful. And then he says that he's advocating for Violet because she's injured. And she thinks, oh, no, he's not. This is another trick. I mean, he says it does. But then it says, we're testing a theory, waiting for our guests to arrive. And she, like, goes through their connection with Xaden and be like, do not come. Varys wants to see if we have a connection. Don't come. I'll be fine. I'm good at hiding these secrets. Like, because she is pretty good at her shields now. And turns out Carr is, like, her signet teacher, but Varys was Dane. So Varys has a very secret signet. I'm very curious about what it is. So can't wait to figure out that. It's gonna be awful. And then he is manipulating Dane. I don't like Dane. I really don't. I don't like Dane. He's awful. But I don't think he deserves to be manipulated like this. Because it's like, why she chose him over you? Don't you want to know how? All the answers are right there, just within your reach. Have to give to him. Like, he's very convincing, and like Dane almost does it, but Violet's like, no, so he says no, and then he leaves. So, a little respect for him. Just a little. Not much. Just a little. And then Nolan comes and heals her. And they're like, you're going to be tortured again, because they really want to know something that you know, because they know that she knows. And he's like, is this secret worth holding on to? And she's like, yes. Is it worth watching your squad mates get tortured for it? And she's like, yes. Because it's just so important. And then they're talking about his secret patient that he's been dealing with. The one that he said he's trying to heal a soul. So, and then Varys knows about that. So they're going to look at him together to like offer the squad a chance to escape, which is great. And then Sora is like, maybe you should let us decide what we're willing to risk. Like, we should know this information. If you're willing to risk us, we should know. Like, they're so loyal to her, and I know she can't tell them, but like the way of how loyal they are to her, it's just so good. And then a lot of the magic that they're using, magic isn't tied to objects, but apparently the dagger, like the knife that she has, is kind of opening these locks. I think it's a special one that Xaden gave her, but like, that's interesting to me. Wow, this was a long check-in, but got to chapter 25, and I will come back when I'm at chapter 30, but I am like really loving this right now. I can't wait. All right, bye. Okay, we're back from 25 to 30, and we're going through that, like, one of like the tactics at the top for the little thing is like to attack Zola, which is where the Griffin School is. And then that actually seems to happen later in the chapter where like that school was attacked. Well, of course they're playing it off as propaganda, but Violet doesn't believe that. So I'm thinking that I should believe what they're saying. So I should believe that they're selling it as propaganda, that it actually happened. So that's what's happening. So, let's see. As they're running away, she's like talking to Taryn, like this is after like their interrogation thing, and they like got away, like they're one of the first people to ever escape. And she's like talking to Taryn, I'm fine, thanks for asking. He's like, of course you are, I chose well. I know exactly what you're capable of, because he's Taryn and he knows everything. So then we find, like, the way that this, like, paper was given to them doesn't seem like the leadership knew that they gave this to them. So they're trying to, like, deflect and hide it, like, and sell it as propaganda. And then Markham, the scribe, is like, you think only riders can be vicious? Words are just as capable of eviscerating someone as a blade. And he's a master. He knows how to deflect, hide, and distract from what's actually the truth. And then Jack Barlow is somehow still alive. This was the project Nolan was working on, bringing Jack back. I literally gasped. Like, we don't need Jack back. He got crushed by a mountain. He should not be back. And he's probably going to kill Violet. I can't have that. Or at least try to. I don't think he'll actually be able to kill her, but... Let's see. And then Riddick, Sawyer, and Rihanna are all looking at her like, are you okay? She's like, I don't have the option not to be okay, which is kind of sad that she doesn't feel like she can be vulnerable with them yet. And then we find out that the place where Xaden and Mira are stationed has been attacked, and one person was grievously injured, which isn't good. And then someone like scratches the left side of their neck, right where his rebellion mark is. So it's like signaling to her that, oh no, Xaden was the one that was injured. So she runs out, and Bodhi gives her his jacket, and she like runs, and Taryn's emotions are affecting her. So because he's like, is Sigale hurt? And she's like worrying about Xaden. So like it's so much intertwined emotions that like she cannot stop it, which isn't good. So she sees Xaden, and Xaden's fine. He's just sparring with Garrick. Like, he's fine. And then he's helping her, like, get her shields under control and get Taryn out of her head. And he's like, whose flight jacket are you wearing? That's not mine. Whose flight jacket are you wearing? And she's like, really? It has a 3rd-year rank, 4th wing insignia, and section leader designation. Who the hell's jacket do you think I'm wearing? It's Bodhi's. And, like, of course, that doesn't help because he's jealous. But, like, she's like, I flew out here for you, and you're worried about whose jacket I'm wearing. And then we find out, like, he actually was the one who was really hurt, but there was a mender there who was able to fix him. Like, he almost lost his arm. That wasn't good. And they, like, kind of admit to each other, like, they're never in control when it comes to the two of them. Like, they love each other, even if they won't say it. And then she's like, I need you. Like, she won't allow herself to say she loves him yet, even though she very certainly does. And that's all he needed, like, for confirmation at this time, at least. So they, you know, do the deed. But then she's like, after, he's like, I still need you to see what you say. He's like, well, you need to choose Xaden. It's your turn to risk your heart. Because in the last book, she let all of herself out to Xaden, and he didn't do anything because he was hiding stuff. I mean, he loved her. He still does. But he never allowed her to see some parts of him. But now she's like, it's your turn to show me that you care. Which, it's fine. I love it. And he's like, I lose control when it comes to you. She's like, that's my favorite part. I love it when you do that. And then he's like, we have options to do right now after they, like, clean up a little bit. He's like, we can stay right here and do it again. Second, we can clean up, get dressed, go into my room and do it again. Or we can drop off the daggers. And she's like, I don't want to drop off the daggers. She's like, guessing it's no option 1 or 2 then. And then she's flying on Taryn's back with Sigale and Xaden, and, like, to the rendezvous point. And he's like, I do not approve. And she's like, yet we're still flying. Taryn, you could have landed. You did not have to take off with her on. So you approve in some way that she is flying. So let's not go there. And then he says again, do not even think about dismounting Silver One. And she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, undo that strap and I will launch. And it's so, so funny. He's like, I don't care about the Shadow Wielder. And he's like, I mean, it would be an emotional inconvenience for Sigale, but he's like, fine, I care. Just a little bit. It's funny. I love it. And then they're talking about wars. The Griffin Riders are like, we need more. Like, people are dying. And Xaden's like, people die in wars. We can't save everyone. Which, it's so heartbreaking. Like, because he fully believes you can't save everyone because of it. And then we see Katrina. We see her. And she's so still hung up on Xaden. Like, so much. Like, and she hates Violet so much because Xaden loves her. Oh, it's so, like, and then because Violet is, like, feeling, like, jealousy, anxiety, insecurity. She's like, what are these feelings? And then Taryn is like, you are feeling all three. To which I will remind you, not a single dragon chose her, and you were selected by 2. Pull yourself together. Because, yes, girl, pull yourself together. You got 2 dragons, and you got Xaden. He chose her. He chose you. He did not choose her. So, there's that. And then they're like, was that your ex? He's like, do we have to talk about our exes? And she's like, no, but we need to talk about this. And he's like, fine, but I would rather talk about our exes. Like, about yours. Do I know them? And she, like, puts him back on track. Then he says, I would rather lose this entire war than live without you. And it's so, so cute. I love him for that. And then one of her teachers, who, like, when she comes back, because she flew off without, like, leave, like, she left when they told her she couldn't leave. So one of her teachers is like, I'm not saying I have any favorite students, but if I did, I would suggest that she stress that her bond with her dragon made her do this. Like, her dragon was so worried. that she couldn't shield it. And I would suggest another favorite student, looking at her jacket, because she's wearing Xaden's jacket now, that he teach you stronger shield techniques. And I liked that. And then she's with Varish, who sucks. I hate Varish so much. But Corey is like, one of her professors is like, are you accusing me of abusing power where this cadet is concerned, Colonel Corey? He's like, oh no, I think you abuse your power in general. Which is true, he does abuse his power, specifically with Violet, but there's that. And then they're about to, like, get her to take off the jacket, and that's where, like, the special dagger is that kills the venom, so she's, like, terrified. But then this guy comes and is like, oh, clearly you haven't heard. Sorrengail will not be punished for what was clearly the choice of her dragon. She is cleared of all charges. And then Varish says, some of us do not bow to the whims of our dragon. In fact, we influence them. What is he talking about? Is he able to control Stolas? Because if so, that is crazy. I don't like that. But, and apparently as she's like looking at her jacket, the knife isn't there. Rihanna got it out through her walls with her signet. And she tells her that the dagger is used for killing venom. She's telling them the truth, which is not a good thing. Like, Xaden might be so mad at her for this, and I'm scared how these people will react. I mean, I'm pretty sure Riddick will believe her, because he believes a lot of crazy things. I'm just scared about Rihanna and Sawyer. But, alright, I'll be back with 30 to 35. Okay, we're back for 30 to 35. Which, I got so shocked at the end of 35, but we'll get there when we get there. Oh, and all of her friends, when she told them, like, they're so accepting, they were like, that burden you must have been so great, but how do we do this? How do we fix it? How do we save everything? Like, and she's like, it's why I've been mad at Xaden, so you can be mad at me, but like, we're not gonna be mad at you. You're our friend. And it's, I love it. Let's see. And then Riddick is like, because he realized that there's 2 journals from the original writers, he's like, wait, do I know something about the archives that you don't? Oh, that's amazing. I'm great. Like, I love Riddick. He's great. And, Jack's being weird. Like, Jack is nice to everyone, which I don't get. Why is Jack nice? He shouldn't be nice. Because he had a mountain thrown on him. He's confusing me. I want to know why he is acting nice, or is nice now. I don't know. Oh, and then thrashing happens, and Arik, the king's son, and Sloane both got dragons, which, it's so good, because Sloane got a red, dragon tail. And she's, like, a lot like her brother because of it, and it's, so cute. I love it. Even if she doesn't like Violet, I still love Sloane. And then assassins come with her and Eerie again, and they kill Eerie. And secrets die with people who keep them. Dane's dad sent them, obviously. And Violet was about to die, basically. Like, one of the assassins, like, really got her. She was, like, dangling off of the thing. And someone kills one of these assassins, and we find out that Jack Barlow is the one who saved her. And he doesn't really give a reason as to why he saved her when he should hate her. So it's confusing. But at the top, there's, like, something from the Book of Brennan, which is everyone thinks most rider cadets die from dragonfire. Truth be told, it's usually gravity that gets us, because they fall off of dragons and stuff. But I'm so confused. Why is Jack saving her? I don't know. And then they find out they need someone from the prince's bloodline, like the king's bloodline, to get into these secret passages that should hold these journals. And they're like, well, good thing we have access to a prince who hates his father, Eric. So they're going to get him there. And then she tells Xaden everything that she told all of her friends. And he actually isn't as angry as I expected him to be. I mean, he's angry, obviously. But he kind of needs the help, so he's not really going to say everything. And then when she lets him in on the plan about to steal these books from the archives, he's like, me? Argue with you about books? I only pick fights I can't win. Like, he knows Violet will win against him if it's against books, because she's learned almost everything about them when she grew up in the archives. So I love that. And Eric does not like Xaden, because Xaden killed his brother. And he's not sorry he killed him. He's like, I'm not sorry I killed him. Like, it's not good. Like, they literally had to be separated. They had to have someone stand in front of them so that they would not fight, which they kind of needed. And apparently, one of Imogen's signets, I don't remember if we learned this in the first one, we might have, but she can wipe short-term memory. That's very interesting. And it's a classified signet, obviously, but that's interesting. And then, as they're, like, dressed in scribe clothes and stuff besides Xaden, because he's like, nope, not doing that, I'll just use my shadows. He's seeing Violet, like, be in awe and stuff. He's like, I'm looking at what could have been. He's like, I like you better in black. I like you better in riding stuff. It's just, like, it's cute. And Eric brings Violet through the wards, which he wasn't for sure they would work, but it did, and Xaden is, like, mad at him. He's like, I'm going to kill him. And then she's like, you'll be responsible then for the death of 2 princes. We can't have that. But he is very protective, and I love it. And then he's talking to Imogen a little bit, and she's a marked one. She's like, you don't hate all marked ones? And then he says, why would I hate you? Your parents led a righteous rebellion, and from what I can tell, you're just trying to do the same. I hate him for killing my brother. Which, fair. Like, you can hate him for killing your brother. But I like that he's like, he knows that the rebellion was righteous. He knows they were trying to do the right thing. So he obviously is like, you guys are perfectly fine. I really don't care. I'm willing to help you. He just doesn't like Xaden. And then they're about to get trapped in the archives. But Xaden, like, pushes Violet through and, like, grabs Eric and, like, pulls him through so that they're all safe. Which is good. And then we get a little letter from Xaden to Violet, and it says he's sad that he never really told his dad anything good right before he left, and he doesn't forgive himself for that, but he hopes his dad does. And then when they got the 2 journals, they got 2 of them from the original writers, she tells Xaden, you fly this to Brennan, he'll be able to translate it. So he leaves, and then she's here. And then Nolan comes up, and he drugs her without her connection to her dragon, and Varish comes in, and then she's probably going to get tortured because they can see she has a tan bag instead of she's a scribe bag instead of a rider's bag, meaning they're going to torture her when they figure out what she has. Like, she is going to be tortured, and it's not going to be good. So I'm a little scared going into the next chapters. But Nolan, I thought we could trust him. He is a mender. Well, obviously we couldn't, because a few chapters ago it says don't trust menders because they support the Riders Codex, which isn't great. You can trust healers, you can't trust riders. Or, like, menders, so. But he drugged her. And he's like, I don't like to see you hurt. Like, she's going to get super duper hurt, Nolan, because of this. But we're moving on to 35 to 40, and I'll see you all there. 35 to 40. This one might be a long check-in because these chapters were a little long, but we start with her, like, being kidnapped, which isn't good, by Varish, so it's really not good. And they're asking her why she stole the journal and stuff, and then she realizes they don't know anything. They think that she just did it by herself. They don't know if she had any accomplices. So, like, her being alone turns to, like, her feeling safe, but, like, she's being tortured, so it's not good. Like, it's a blessing that she's alone, but she knows it's a blessing to be alone, but she can't help but not want to be alone, which is kind of heartbreaking because everything. And then I cried because she's having a hallucination of Liam, and it's Liam. He's my favorite. I cried. I thought I wasn't gonna cry, but it's Liam. I can't exactly stop not crying when it's Liam. And he's, like, just just talking to her, like keeping her strong, and it's making sure that she doesn't break, and it's and he's like, Xaden won't come. She's like, Xaden won't come. He won't know until this weekend that something's wrong. And Liam's like, you don't think he's already losing his shit? Just because you can't talk to Taryn doesn't mean Taryn can't talk to Sigale. So Xaden's gonna rip this place apart brick by brick to get you, says Liam. And it's just, I miss him so much. And we find out that Varish's skill is he can check people's weaknesses. He couldn't get Violet's, only like sparingly, because her shields are actually pretty strong. Hers are her friends, obviously, but he did catch a glimpse of Xaden, which is Violet, but we all knew that already. But, there's that. And then, yeah, he talks about, like, Xaden lowering his shields, and she's not... They say they'll have the information in a matter of days, because this is a trap for Xaden. Like, for him to give up where he is, his station, and come and rescue her, which would be treason. They're setting a trap for him. And then there was this funny thing, because the one thing she says to him during this torture is, does Stolas enjoy hiding? Because Taryn can't find me, but he can find your dragon. And he will kill your dragon, which means you die. So sad. So, he's like, she's like, you will die in this chamber. I promise you, you will. Like, she says, I might die, but I promise you will die here. Which is so right. And then he convinced Dane to go into her head, and because she doesn't have her shields right now, he can. And it's not good, because... it's so awful. Like, he convinces Dane to look in her head. And just as he's about to do it, they get, there's incidents that are happening. And General Sorengale, her mom, called, like, a meeting. And turns out, Xaden's missing. Xaden hasn't been at his station. I don't know where he went. And they're gathering, like, all the marked ones, which isn't good. And then, because she can't control, like, that he can get into her head, she controls what he sees. She makes sure he sees Liam's death, sees the venom, sees those wyverns. He sees all of it. And, of course, we think at first he's, being a traitor and gonna kill Violet. But he stabs Barish! Barish dies. Well, he doesn't die. He's just injured by Dane. And he gets him out. She gets him out of, like, where she is. And then Xaden's here. He slit the throat of the person who was near her and was like, he's just here. The onyx eyes. Oh, I love it. He's like, there's nowhere in existence I wouldn't go to find you, remember? Oh, it's so good. Then, this is what's solidified Dane's character. Character, not personality. Because I don't like him. I still don't like him after everything. But it cements his character. Because he says, if he already knows what Violet showed me, then I'm not the... Then the one disappointed in him. Then I'm the one disappointed in him. Like, if his dad knows what Violet showed him, he should be disappointed in his father, because no one should have hid this information. That's his character. He doesn't believe that we should sacrifice innocent lives. Of course, in turn, he kind of did that when he stole her memory, but of course, I don't think he knew he did that, so. And then she gets to kill Varish, and Xaden helps her kill him. And then they're like, we have to go. And then she's like, she's like, I don't care, Violet. We're getting you out of here. And then she's like, you'll lose everything you've worked for because of me. And he's like, because I'll have everything I need. I will happily watch Arita burn to the effing ground again if it means you live. Like, he loves her so much. Oh, it's so good. And then she finally admits him that she loves him, which is great. And then the last thing she hears from Liam is, they didn't break you, Violet. And then he, like, disappears. Ugh, I miss him so much. And then Lilith comes. She's worried about Violet. She's like, Violet? And then she asks Xaden, who did you kill? He's like, everyone. Okay. And then she wants to have a conversation with Violet, which she agrees to, but Xaden is like, And he's like, you can at least let me say goodbye to her. Because she knows Violet's leaving. And they have a conversation. And he's like, why do they think I put you in the... She's like, the love of my life was a scribe. That's why I didn't put you in the scribes. I put you in the Riders Quadrant. So you'd have a shot at surviving. And then I called a favor in with Ryerson, owing me for putting the marked ones into the quadrant. Because that's what he did. He wanted them all in the quadrant so they'd have a chance to live. So, like, he was always going to look after Violet. Like, that was the thing. Violet was something he was always going to look after. That was the favor that Lilith asked him. Of course, it just turned into entanglement, but... And then, I still hate Lilith. She's still awful. She's still, like... But she does seem to love her children, which I will give her that. She does seem to actually care about her children. Even if it means condemning everything else to death. But I'll give her that. She does love her children. And then she says, as Xaden's probably going to carry Violet again, she's like, Sorrengails walk or fly off the battlefield. They are never carried. I'm like, girl, your daughter was tortured for 5 days. You're not going to let her just be carried by her boyfriend? All right. And then they're about to tell everyone the truth. Like, so that they can basically just start a rebellion. Ugh. And there's something wrong with Andarna. She's been in the dreamless sleep for too long. But they're getting ready to leave anyway, so they can't really focus on that right now. They share the memory of Liam's death with everyone, and then so many choose to come with them. And they're taking just a couple scribes are coming with them, and it's so good. And apparently Bodhi can counter Signans. That's his power. I love that. We didn't know that. But there's so many dragons who are finally coming. And then Brendan is like, when they're finally there, like, what did you do? And she's like, I mean, you said you needed riders. I brought you riders. And then we're on part 2. That's fun. If you like this one, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in part 2 for the last sections of Iron Flame, because this book had to be split into 2 parts because I couldn't stop talking about it. But I'll see you all there. Bye.